Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering dimensions. And to make a dimension using JSONs, all we're going to need is a dimension JSON, a dimension type JSON, and then a quick init class just so we get the registry keys for the dimension. And to create the JSON, we will once again be using Misod's data generator on misod.github.io. So let's go to worldgen and let's start with the dimension type. And then we'll also create a dimension. So the dimension type is where we will be defining all of the rules for our dimension. We can leave most of these as they are. You can hover over this over here. We have the ambient light. I'm just going to set that to 0.5 for example. And we can always use the presets for the different dimension types over here. So let's copy this JSON and paste it into Eclipse. And in our data folder, we can create another new package called .dimension_type. And in here, we can create a new file called example dimension.json. And in here, we can paste our JSON that we copied. And at the top, let's add a name key with our tutorial mod or mod ID :example dimension. And that is it. Now let's do our dimension JSON. So back in here, we want to leave this as preset, not custom. And then we can write tutorial mod :example dimension. Then in our generator settings, we can change it from a default Minecraft overworld to a custom thing where we can put the name as tutorial mod :example dimension, and then put things like bedrock roof position. And we don't have a roof, we can put the bedrock floor position, the sea level. We can disable mob generation, add a default block and a fluid, change various noise options for the height, etc. and add various structures, but we do that in our biomes, so I'm just going to ignore that. And as the biome source, we're always going to select multi-noise. And if we only want one biome, then we can just add one biome. So we have our weirdness noise, humidity noise, temperature noise, and altitude noise, and I'm just going to leave that as it is. And in our biome entry, we're going to set this to tutorial mod :example biome, but you can use any biome here. And we're going to leave all these values at 0 so that our biome is the same as the default biome. And if we want to add another one, we can just click add here to add another entry. Then we can copy our dimension JSON, and in Eclipse we can create another new package called .dimension, where we can create another JSON file called example dimension.json, where we can paste our dimension JSON. And that is our JSONs all complete. Now let's create a DimensionInit class where we're going to create some registry keys. So we're going to create a public static final registry key of world, and we're going to call this example dimension world, and it's going to be equal to registry key .get or create key, or just create on modmaps. And then we're going to use registry.world key or dimension registry on modmaps. And then we can pass in a new resource location with tutorial mod.mod ID and then the name of our example dimension. And you have to make sure this is the same name we used in our JSON files. And back in our dimension JSON, you want to look for the seed variables and just set them to 0. And there's going to be 2 of these, one in the generator and one in the biome source. And this just makes the world generate differently every single time. And that is actually it. Now we can run the game. And when we create a new world, you'll see the experimental settings screen. And you can always install the Shut Up Experimental Settings mod by Corgi Taco to get rid of this screen. So let's hit proceed. And once we load up the world, we can run the following command. /execute in tutorial mod dimension run tp @s and then 3 tildes, and this is going to teleport us to our dimension. And if you do that, we can see that we actually spawned underground, and if we go to the dimension, we can see that we've generated in our example biome, and this is just going to be an infinite planes dimension since our dimension is just one big plains. But you can see that mobs are spawning here. And if we try to sleep, bad things happen, just like we put in our dimension type. And even if we set the time to midnight, so you can see that everything is still lit. up. That's going to do it for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll probably be covering service builders. If you need any help, join the Discord or just join to talk to an amazing community. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.